Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's October 26, 2024. I'm out the first food forest. One of my objectives today is to gather up some of the cages, so removing some of the cages, the tree protective cages, same as our tomato cages. Most of these are about 2 foot in diameter, these cages. They're made out of concrete reinforcing mesh. And I've made videos on how to make these. But I hold them in place because today's a really windy day too. So I use 1/2 inch rebar. I get 20-foot lengths. I cut them into 5-foot lengths. This is a 5-footer, and I drive them into the ground. And then I use my reusable cable ties on these. I close up the cage with these as well, and hold them here. So with 2 1/2 inch rebar, holding these cages do really well. So I got several cages I can remove from here. One of the goals is to protect some of the new transplants that I did up in the second and third food forest. Here's an example of what they might look like. So here's one of the hybrid Chinese chestnuts here. So I have a whole bunch that I'm probably not going to get to. And the deer will browse on these during the winter months. So I'll take them right down to whatever the snow is and dig down a little bit. So I'll lose some of those. But unless we have more time this fall than usual. So I'm gonna get these cables, get the cages away from one of the things I would say is this is the worst time of year to do this, because right now the deer are rutting, so they're rubbing their antlers on all of the trees around here. So one of the things I would say is I really like to keep lower limbs on the trees now. And that helps to decrease the amount of damage that a deer does do. You know, I've already lost a couple of trees or have had significant deer rub already on them, and that's when I prune them the traditional way and having nice clear trunks going up to about, you know, chest height, and then starting the branching off for easy orchard-like setting. So over the years I've learned to leave more branches on. Let the deer browse on those. Otherwise they'll be pulling down the upper limbs. They still may do that. But anyways, I digress. I need to get to work. I'm gonna see if I can get some of these cages off.
Everybody talks about financial, the money in the bank. But there's more to life's investments than just filling up that tank. Material wealth surrounds us, and tools and things we own. Living capital's nature, and the seeds that we have sown. Investing in these 10 forms of capital, not just in the financial, but in ways that make us whole. Material, living, intellectual too. Experiential and social, a part of the view. Intellectual pursuits in the knowledge that we gain. Experiential wisdom in the lessons that remain. Social bonds that bind us in communities we trust. Cultural roots that ground us in empathy and love. Investing in these 10 forms of capital, not just in the financial, but in ways that make us whole. Material, living, intellectual too. Experiential and social, a part of the view. Spiritual beliefs that lift us when we're down. Physical health and fitness in the strength we found. Mental and emotional in the hearts we grow. All these forms of capital help us overflow. It's so important to be a better version of ourselves, to invest in all these pillars for our future and our health. From financial to material, living and beyond, in every form of capital, we build a life that's strong. Investing in these 10 forms of capital, Not just in the financial, but in ways that make us whole. Material, living, intellectual too. Experiential and social, a part of the view. So let's grow a better tomorrow with the seeds we plant today. Investing in these values in every single way, for a life that's rich and full, and a future that is bright. In these 10 forms of capital, we find our guiding light.
Okay, so this is an example of deer rub right here. And when the bark is pulled back so much, what ends up happening is they've scratched off the cambium layer, and within this layer, underneath the bark, is the vascular system of the tree. So it's a circulation between the roots and the leaves. The leaves turn the water and take water and carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, and they turn it into simple sugars, which travel down the tree in the cambium layer. And this tree is pretty much a goner. Now this is a several-year-old peach tree, and it was a real nice peach tree, but one of the things I've learned over the years, so first off, this is more, oh gosh, I just noticed the dirt all over the camera lens. So we let the wildlife in here all the time. There's no fencing around here, and so it's my fault that the deer are allowed to do deer rub on so many of the trees. But once that has happened, even if the tree survives, they're much more susceptible to opportunistic infections such as a fungal disease like brown rot. So that tree is going to come out. And one of the things I would say over the years, I've noticed in our particular situation, the dwarves are most severely affected by by whatever elements happen here on our property, whether it's the high winds, the deer, or seldom do we have vole problems, but we will see damage to the dwarfs more predominantly over semi-dwarfs. And the semi-dwarfs are affected more so than the standard rootstocks. So the rootstock here, and it's not to say other people will experience it, a lot of people have small yards and the semi-dwarfs would work great. But in our situation, I want to eliminate all dwarfs. And I'll show you an example down here with one of our Asian pears. This is one of the pawpaws here. A nice little red oak coming up with this apple here. So we really love our Asian pears, and I've made videos about them in the past. And so this is one of the ones that was supposed to be an Asian pear. But what ended up happening was, this is where this was the graft. This one here, this dead one here. This was the graft that was onto here, and so this was the desirable New Century Asian pear, but it died, and so the rootstock went ahead and set out a new shoot, and we got another tree, and you can be waiting forever. But it's a hardy rootstock, but it's not what we want. It's not the Asian pear fruit. So what I'll end up doing is, I'll probably use this other water sprout that came up from this trunk here, and graft onto this one, and use one of the scions from one of our Asian pears that we like so much. So, like this is an Asian pear here. So this one's a Shoujo Asian pear, which I love. That's a New Century. This is another New Century, but this is a dwarf again. I just took the cage off of this, but it's much more susceptible to getting damaged and all. And this is a dwarf apple. So I think this is a Ben Davis here. No, this is a Summer Sweet. So this is one of the Stark Brothers varieties. And then when that tree split in half, it took out a lot of trees. So it wiped out part of this apple here, wiped out that peach there. Somehow the Y only did some scraping and took off branches of this one, but then went ahead and took a lot of this persimmon down. See, half of the trunk is ripped here right off, but it's still surviving. This red bud is okay. It was completely folded over in the ground, so I gave it some more support and some of it was over there. And now I've got where am I? Right here. This half of this white birch here is dead, so I need to come over and take this down and drop it right in between these two sections here. So I don't know, and when you're buying these trees that are dwarf or semi-dwarf, we don't always know what the rootstock is either, and the rootstock is really they're bred and reproduced to provide certain functions. Some of them are more disease resistant, drought resistant, and so on and so forth. But a lot of times when you're buying these trees that are dwarf or semi-dwarf, we don't actually know what the rootstock is. So yeah, so that's another Asian pear there. That's a dwarf. So no more dwarfs for me. Maybe if we put them in our little fenced-in yard, that would be great. Sorry about the wind here, but I just wanted to share my thoughts as I'm doing this. I got several of the cages off here, and again, this is another dwarf here. Which one is this one here? Oh, this is another Snow Sweet. You know, they taste delicious, but in our environment, and the deer are in here every single night, so you'll see that a lot of the foliage isn't as desirable now. So this is all what they did. So that's all of the Bach 14 comfrey. So they're eating all the comfrey now. That's all comfrey in there, comfrey all along in here. So the deer are eating all of that. They prefer that over the grass. And then when that's gone, they'll start reaching up and grabbing the leaves off all the trees. Now this is a pawpaw, so they aren't going to bother that one. So anyways, I need to go get the Optimus Maximus, get these cages in the trailer, get a few more cages, then I can go up front and get cages around the trees up front. So onward and upward. Well, I was able to go ahead and get the chestnuts, Asian pears, persimmons, the rest of the chestnuts and Asian pears down there, as well as the pawpaws done over there by the grapevines. Got the cages established. So I think that's about it for today's video. I'm going to go ahead and go down and gather up some more of the cages so I can get more trees done. Arm's a little sore from tugging and hammering and all, out of shape, but we got things accomplished. Sorry about the wind. It's just crazy here. It's fall here in central New York, and we're at a high elevation here. So thanks so much for watching. Stay safe and take good care of yourselves. Bye bye.